Is there a St. Benedict medal somewhere in your home right now? If so, what I'm about to reveal might completely transform your understanding of this sacred object. This isn't just another religious trinket, it's a powerful spiritual instrument that, according to Padre Pio, holds extraordinary protective capabilities that most believers have never fully unlocked. Padre Pio, one of the most remarkable saints of our modern era, known for his stigmata and profound spiritual insights, frequently spoke about the St. Benedict Medal with a sense of urgency. He witnessed firsthand how this sacred object could shield homes from negative influences, heal relationships, and invite divine blessings, but only when used properly. Unfortunately, most people make three critical mistakes with their medals that render them spiritually ineffective. Today, I'll share Padre Pio's profound wisdom about the true purpose of the St. Benedict Medal, the common errors that neutralize its power, and most importantly, how to activate its full spiritual potential in your home and life. This knowledge, often reserved for Padre Pio's closest spiritual children, could be the missing piece in your spiritual protection. Before we explore these life-changing insights, take a moment to whisper, "Saint Benedict, guard my household." This simple act of faith begins the process of recognizing the medal's true significance. Now, let's discover what Padre Pio revealed about this powerful sacramental and how it can transform your spiritual life when properly understood and honored. To fully grasp why Padre Pio placed such importance on the St. Benedict Medal, we need to understand its extraordinary origins and the sacred symbols it contains. This isn't merely historical background, it's essential knowledge that illuminates why this particular medal carries such spiritual weight. Benedict of Nursia wasn't born a saint. His journey began in 480 AD in central Italy, during a time of great spiritual darkness and social upheaval as the Roman Empire crumbled. Born to nobility, Benedict abandoned his privileged life and wealth after witnessing the moral decay in Rome, retreating instead to a cave in Subiaco to seek God in solitude and prayer. This radical choice set him on a path that would eventually change Western spirituality forever. During his years of solitude, Benedict faced intense spiritual warfare. The stories tell us he was targeted by poisoning attempts on multiple occasions. Once, when enemies poisoned his bread, he commanded a raven to carry it away. Another time, when they poisoned his wine, the cup shattered the moment he made the sign of the cross over it. These weren't merely lucky escapes, they demonstrated Benedict's God-given authority over dark forces. The medal we now know evolved from these spiritual battles. Originally, it was a simple cross with mysterious initials representing powerful prayers. Over centuries, it developed into the more elaborate medal we recognize today, but its essence remains unchanged. It's a condensed spiritual weapon, each symbol and letter carrying profound meaning. When you examine a St. Benedict medal closely, you'll find it's covered with Latin abbreviations and religious symbols. The front typically features St. Benedict holding his rule in one hand and a cross in the other, with the words Crux Sancti Patris Benedicti, the cross of the Holy Father Benedict, surrounding him. On the reverse side, a cross dominates the center, surrounded by the letters CSPB, which stand for those same words. Around the medal's edge runs a powerful exorcism prayer condensed into the letters VRSNSMVSMQLEVB. These represent the Latin phrase Vade retro Satana, nunquam suade mihi vana. Sunt malaque libas, ipse venena bibas, which translates to, "Begone Satan, never tempt me with your vanities. What you offer is evil, drink your own poison." On the cross itself, you'll find CSSML, meaning, "May the Holy Cross be my light," and NDSMD, which stands for, "May the dragon never be my guide." This isn't random religious decoration. It's a complete spiritual shield condensed into a small object, a concentrated prayer of protection that you can carry with you or place in your home. Understanding these symbols helps us appreciate why Padre Pio considered this medal so much more than a simple religious token. Padre Pio, born Francesco Forgione in 1887, became one of the most mystically gifted saints of our time. Bearing the visible wounds of Christ's crucifixion for 50 years, He could read souls, bilocate, and possessed remarkable healing gifts. What many don't know is how deeply he valued the St. Benedict Medal in his spiritual arsenal. In his ministry at San Giovanni Rotondo, Padre Pio encountered countless people suffering from various forms of spiritual affliction. His exceptional spiritual vision allowed him to perceive negative influences that ordinary people couldn't see. During confession, he could immediately detect when someone was under spiritual attack, often before they even spoke about their troubles. In these situations, Padre Pio frequently recommended the St. Benedict Medal, but always with very specific instructions. He understood something profound that most believers miss. The medal isn't automatically effective simply because you possess it. Its power depends entirely on how it's blessed, respected, and integrated into your spiritual life. One particularly revealing incident occurred when a woman from Naples came to Padre Pio, complaining of persistent nightmares and an oppressive atmosphere in her home. She mentioned that despite having several St. Benedict medals scattered throughout her house, nothing seemed to improve. Padre Pio took her medal, held it in his stigmatized hands, and said something profound. This medal is like a sword without an edge. The weapon is correct, but it cannot cut because it hasn't been properly prepared and wielded. This insight captures the reality many experience. They have the right sacramental but receive no protection because they're not using it as intended. The St. Benedict Medal isn't a magical amulet that works automatically. As Padre Pio consistently taught, it's a channel of divine grace that requires specific conditions to activate its full protective potential. Now let's examine the 3 critical errors that, according to Padre Pio's teachings, may be neutralizing your St. Benedict Medal's protective power, or even rendering it completely ineffective as a spiritual instrument. The first and most widespread mistake is using an unblessed medal. This might seem obvious to some, but Padre Pio encountered this problem repeatedly. Many people purchase medals from religious shops, inherit them from relatives, or receive them as gifts, assuming they already possess their spiritual power simply because of their form and symbols. Padre Pio was absolutely clear on this point. Once, when a devoted follower proudly showed him a beautiful silver St. Benedict medal she had just purchased near his monastery, he looked at her with compassion and said, "My child, you have a lovely piece of metal, but you don't yet have a St. Benedict medal." Confused, the woman explained she had bought it from a respected religious store. Padre Pio gently explained that, without a proper priestly blessing, the medal remained merely decorative, regardless of where it was purchased. This blessing isn't a minor formality. It's the foundational act that transforms an ordinary metal object into a genuine sacramental. Padre Pio compared an unblessed medal to a flashlight without batteries. It has the correct shape and design, but lacks the power to fulfill its purpose. The Church has a special blessing specifically for the St. Benedict medal, more elaborate than standard blessings, which invokes God's protection over the object and the person who will use it. The second critical error is treating the medal superstitiously rather than with authentic faith. Padre Pio observed that many people approach the medal with an attitude closer to magical thinking than genuine Christian devotion. They expected the medal to work automatically, like a spiritual machine, without any personal engagement of faith or prayer. The medal doesn't protect those who don't pray, Padre Pio often reminded his spiritual children. This statement captures a fundamental truth. Sacramentals are channels of grace, not substitutes for a personal relationship with God. When we treat religious objects as magical charms that operate independently of our faith and moral choices, we drift into the territory of superstition, ironically opening ourselves to the very influences we're trying to avoid. This misunderstanding creates a dangerous false security. Many believe they're fully protected simply because they possess a St. Benedict medal, while continuing to live disconnected from prayer and the moral teachings of faith. Padre Pio warned that this mindset not only neutralizes the medal's effectiveness, but can actually become a subtle form of idolatry that blocks divine grace. The third error, perhaps less obvious but equally important according to Padre Pio, is placing the medal in inappropriate locations or treating it carelessly. Many people treat their medals as casual decorations, placing them alongside ordinary objects or in undignified places without thoughtful consideration. A family once consulted Padre Pio because despite having several St. Benedict medals in their home, They experienced constant, unexplained tensions and difficulties. When Padre Pio inquired about the placement of their medals, they admitted one was in a bathroom drawer and another was tossed in a box with miscellaneous items. Padre Pio responded with a question that revealed his perspective. Would you place a photograph of your beloved mother in your bathroom or throw it carelessly into a jumbled drawer? Sacramentals deserve places of honor in our homes, not forgotten corners or inappropriate locations. This teaching reveals something fundamental. The physical placement of the medal reflects and influences our spiritual attitude toward it. A medal hidden away in a drawer or placed as mere decoration without spiritual significance cannot fulfill its purpose as effectively as one given a place of honor, where it serves as a constant reminder of God's protection and our need for it. These three errors, using an unblessed medal, approaching it superstitiously, and placing it carelessly, explain why many people experience little or no benefit from their St. Benedict medals, despite genuinely seeking protection. The good news is that all these errors can be corrected, allowing the medal to function as the powerful spiritual instrument it was meant to be. Let me share a real-life story that illustrates how transformative the proper use of the St. Benedict medal can be when Padre Pio's guidance is followed. This isn't a dramatic overnight miracle, but rather a genuine account of gradual but profound spiritual change. Teresa, a schoolteacher from a small town, had suffered from unexplained anxiety and disturbing dreams for nearly a decade. Medical tests revealed nothing physically wrong, and therapy provided only temporary relief. Her home atmosphere felt perpetually heavy, despite her efforts to maintain a prayerful environment. She had several St. Benedict medals throughout her house, some inherited from her grandmother, others purchased during pilgrimages to various shrines. Something wasn't right, Teresa later explained. Despite being a regular churchgoer and having religious items everywhere, including my St. Benedict medals, I couldn't shake the feeling of oppression. Some nights I'd wake up with my heart racing, sensing an unwelcoming presence in my bedroom. Everything changed when Teresa attended a parish mission given by a priest who had studied Padre Pio's teachings extensively. During a talk about sacramentals, the priest mentioned exactly the errors we've discussed. Teresa immediately recognized her situation. Her medals had never been properly blessed. She had scattered them around without particular reverence. And though devout, her relationship with these sacramentals was based more on tradition than intentional faith. Following the priest's recommendations, Teresa collected all her medals and brought them for a proper blessing. She created a small prayer corner in her home, with the primary medal displayed respectfully alongside a crucifix and a candle she would light during prayer. Most importantly, she began to pray deliberately before this small altar each day, developing a conscious relationship with St. Benedict and, through him, with Christ. The change wasn't dramatic like you see in movies, Teresa recalled, but it was undeniable and deep. Over several weeks, the heaviness in the house lifted. My sleep improved, the nightmares stopped, and that constant anxiety began to dissolve. There was a peace I hadn't experienced in years. Not perfect, but real. Teresa's experience wasn't magical or coincidental. It resulted from aligning her practices with the principles Padre Pio taught about sacramentals. By correcting the three common errors, she transformed her relationship with the St. Benedict medal and opened herself to the protection and grace it was designed to channel. Padre Pio emphasized that the St. Benedict medal, when properly used, doesn't just protect against negative influences, it actively attracts blessings to homes and individuals. It functions like a spiritual antenna that, correctly positioned and connected, receives signals of grace that would otherwise go unnoticed or unreceived. In his spiritual direction letters, Padre Pio often noted that St. Benedict works particularly closely with St. Michael the Archangel in the spiritual realm to protect believers. He considered devotion to both as complementary and frequently recommended joint prayer to these powerful intercessors, especially in cases of serious spiritual disturbance. A lesser-known teaching of Padre Pio concerns the connection between the St. Benedict medal, family harmony. He observed that homes where the medal was properly venerated often experienced improved communication, easier resolution of conflicts, and a more tangible atmosphere of love. This wasn't coincidental, but reflected the medal's role in creating an environment more receptive to divine grace. Consider the experience of George and Martha, whose 30-year marriage had deteriorated into constant bickering and emotional distance. Separation seemed inevitable until they visited a priest who had been mentored by one of Padre Pio's spiritual children. Following his counsel, they both received specially blessed St. Benedict medals and established a family prayer space where they committed to pray together briefly each evening, regardless of their feelings toward each other. The priest taught them a specific practice recommended by Padre Pio. Each should pray not for changes in their spouse, but for the grace to change themselves. The first weeks were awkward and tense, Martha later shared. We could barely look at each other during those prayers, but gradually, something shifted inside both of us. Problems didn't magically disappear, but we found new patience and perspective to address them together. This illustrates another crucial insight from Padre Pio. Sacramentals like the St. Benedict Medal don't eliminate life's challenges, but they provide the spiritual strength to face them differently, with divine grace as an ally, rather than relying solely on human effort. Padre Pio explained that properly honoring the St. Benedict Medal involves 3 simultaneous spiritual movements: acknowledging our vulnerability and need for protection, venerating a saint whose life exemplified devotion to God, and affirming our faith in Christ's cross. Prominently featured on the medal, these 3 elements, humility, veneration, and trust in the cross, create ideal conditions for authentic spiritual transformation. It's important to understand that the medal itself doesn't produce change. It represents and activates spiritual realities within us when approached with proper reverence. This distinction separates superstition from authentic faith. Superstition attempts to manipulate divine power for personal benefit. Genuine faith humbly surrenders to God's will while accepting the help offered through sacred channels. Humility plays a particularly vital role in this process. Padre Pio noted that those who benefited most from the medal's protection were those who carried it discreetly, not as a display of piety, but as a personal reminder of their dependence on God and their commitment to spiritual growth. Now that we understand these principles, let's explore practical steps to properly consecrate your St. Benedict Medal and maximize its protective potential in your home and personal life. According to Padre Pio's guidance, the first essential step is obtaining a proper priestly blessing. This isn't optional or merely symbolic. It's the foundational act that activates the medal's spiritual purpose. Ideally, you should approach a priest specifically requesting the blessing for a St. Benedict Medal. The Church has maintained a special blessing formula for this medal since 1742, more elaborate than standard blessings because of the medal's particular purpose. Not every priest may be familiar with this special blessing, so consider printing the prayer and respectfully offering it when you make your request. If you already own medals that haven't been blessed, don't hesitate to have this done. It's never too late. In the meantime, you can prepare your home and heart to receive the blessed medal properly. After receiving the blessing, the second step involves creating appropriate spaces for your medal. Padre Pio taught that sacramentals deserve locations of honor, reflecting their spiritual significance. Select visible, respectful places in your home, preferably at eye level or higher. Many families create small home altars where they place the medal alongside other sacred images and perhaps a candle lit during prayer times. The arrangement doesn't need to be elaborate. What matters is the intention and respect behind it. Padre Pio particularly recommended placing blessed medals near the main entrances of homes, in family gathering spaces and in bedrooms. Avoid locations like bathrooms or near objects that might diminish its dignity or significance. A powerful traditional practice Padre Pio often recommended was burying blessed medals in the 4 corners of your property as a way to establish a perimeter of spiritual protection. Many families who have implemented this practice report noticeable improvements in their home's atmosphere and sense of security. The third step involves personal consecration, perhaps the most overlooked element, but according to Padre Pio, the most transformative. It's insufficient to merely possess a blessed medal in an appropriate location. Establishing a personal spiritual connection through prayer is essential. Padre Pio suggested this simple consecration prayer to recite before your blessed medal. Glorious Saint Benedict, I reverently place myself under your protection and intercession. I ask you to bless this medal, bearing your name and image, that through it, God's grace may shield me from all physical and spiritual harm. May this medal constantly remind me to seek God's kingdom and righteousness above all else. Help me to imitate your virtues of prayer, work, and humility in my daily life. Amen. This prayer should accompany a sincere commitment to live according to Christian values. As Padre Pio frequently emphasized, the most effective protection against negative influences is a virtuous life aligned with God's will. The fourth step encompasses daily practices that honor the medal and integrate it into your spiritual routine. Padre Pio suggested several simple but powerful habits: briefly touching the medal upon waking while offering your day to God; during moments of temptation or difficulty, holding the medal while saying a short prayer like, "Saint Benedict, strengthen me against evil"; before sleeping, expressing gratitude for protection received and requesting continued safeguarding through the night. These daily practices transform the medal from a passive object into an active reminder of your faith and relationship with God. They build a habit of spiritual mindfulness that extends the medal's influence beyond physical protection into spiritual formation. For situations involving serious spiritual disturbances, Padre Pio recommended a fifth step: the use of holy water in conjunction with the medal. If you sense your home suffers from negative influences, obtain holy water from your parish and, while reciting Psalm 91, traditionally known as the Protection Psalm, lightly sprinkle areas where you've placed medals. Father Thomas, who studied under one of Padre Pio's close disciples and served as an exorcist for many years, shared that he had witnessed remarkable transformations in homes where this simple ritual was faithfully implemented. Families who had experienced unexplained tensions, persistent illnesses, or sleep disturbances often found relief after following these steps. This isn't magic, Father Thomas emphasized, echoing Padre Pio's teaching. It's about faith and opening ourselves to God's action through the channels of grace the Church provides for our benefit. The sixth and perhaps most profound step involves interior transformation. Padre Pio stressed that external practices must be matched by sincere efforts toward inner conversion. The St. Benedict Medal complements the sacraments and virtuous living rather than replacing them. Too many people, Padre Pio observed, seek protection from external evil while nurturing evil in their own hearts through resentment, selfishness, or impurity. This is like trying to dry the floor while leaving the faucet running. Therefore, allow the presence of the medal in your home to serve as a constant reminder of your call to live according to your faith. Each time you notice the St. Benedict Medal, let it prompt a brief examination of conscience and renewal of your commitment to the values that St. Benedict exemplified: prayer, balanced living, humility, and service to others. Now we arrive at what I promised at the beginning: the profound insight Padre Pio shared only with his closest spiritual children, the revelation that transforms our understanding of the St. Benedict Medal's true purpose. Many approach this medal seeking primarily a supernatural shield, an automatic defense against all harm and evil. But Padre Pio's deepest teaching reveals something far more profound. The ultimate purpose of the St. Benedict Medal isn't simply to protect us from external evil, but to transform us internally, so that we ourselves become instruments of God's goodness in the world. In a rarely quoted letter to one of his spiritual daughters, Padre Pio wrote, "The St. Benedict Medal contains within it, like a seed, the potential for an entire spiritual tree. Its true power lies not merely in what it does for us, but in what it accomplishes within us when we honor it correctly." This perspective revolutionizes our understanding. The medal functions not primarily as a defensive weapon, though it certainly protects, but as a catalyst for profound spiritual growth. Padre Pio observed that those who benefited most deeply from devotion to St. Benedict through his medal were those who gradually incorporated the saint's virtues into their own lives. His disciplined prayer life, his balance between work and contemplation, his humility in service, and his firmness against evil influences. The medal became for them not just a protective object, but a daily invitation to spiritual maturity. The final revelation is that the St. Benedict Medal, properly understood and honored, awakens within us spiritual capacities we may not have recognized we possessed. Every Christian, Padre Pio taught, is called to be not only a recipient of divine protection, but also a channel of that same protection for others. The medal, in its deepest dimension, reminds us of this universal vocation to spiritual maturity and service. I invite you now to look with new eyes at the St. Benedict Medal you may have had in your home for years. No longer see it as merely a religious decoration or simple protective charm, but as a constant invitation to deepen your faith, live with greater integrity, and become yourself an instrument of blessing and protection for others in need. This transformation doesn't happen overnight. It unfolds gradually as you implement the practices we've discussed. Many who follow Padre Pio's guidance report not just freedom from negative influences, but a new sense of purpose, peace, and spiritual vitality they hadn't experienced before. Consider the testimony of Richard, a businessman who struggled with anger issues and family tensions for decades. "I've had a St. Benedict Medal in my wallet for 20 years, he shared, but it was just a lucky charm to me. After learning Padre Pio's teachings about it and beginning to approach it with real faith and daily prayer, something changed. The medal became less about protecting me from bad luck and more about reminding me to check my temper, pray before decisions, and treat others with the respect St. Benedict would have shown. My family noticed the difference before I did." This is the pattern Padre Pio observed repeatedly. When we move beyond seeing the medal as merely protective and embrace its transformative invitation, our entire spiritual landscape begins to shift. Protection still comes, but it becomes secondary to the interior growth that develops naturally through this devotion. If these teachings have resonated with you today, I encourage you to take a moment now to whisper, "St. Benedict, transform my home and heart." This simple declaration of faith strengthens your commitment and opens you to the graces we've discussed. And if you know someone who has a St. Benedict medal in their home or carries one with them, consider sharing this message. It may be exactly what they need to experience the full blessing this powerful sacramental can bring to their lives. Remember Padre Pio's encouraging words, "Faith doesn't eliminate life's storms, but it gives us the strength to face them and the assurance that we're never alone in the boat." May St. Benedict intercede for you and your family, and may Christ's cross always be your light and guide through whatever challenges you face. I'm deeply grateful for your presence here today. If this message has blessed you, please help us spread these teachings to others who might benefit. Comment below with your own experiences with the St. Benedict Medal or questions you may have. Like this video so others can find it more easily. Subscribe to our Padre Pio Teachings channel for more spiritual insights. And share this video with friends and family who might need this wisdom. Together, we form a community of faith seeking to grow in spiritual understanding and share the treasures that saints like Padre Pio have entrusted to us. In a world often dominated by materialism and spiritual confusion, these ancient practices offer proven paths to authentic peace and protection. May God's peace remain with you and all who dwell in your home, today and always.